Avi Loeb has been back in the news recently with some pretty, I'm just going to say it, sensational headlines, one of which I have actually put here for you guys. Could a new interstellar object be a hostile alien threat? Now, this comes to us on the heels of a story we reported on somewhat recently about this Atlas interstellar object that's going to be zipping through our solar system. It's already here. So I'm going to read a little bit of this. And then I've got a video from News Nation that Avi recently did. And I want to get your thoughts on
Yeah.
this one, Suzanne. So on July 1st, 2025, astronomers discovered an interstellar object named 3I Atlas. While most researchers classify it as a comet traveling at over 130,000 miles per hour with a gas and dust coma and possibly billions of years old, Avi Loeb and co-authors recently published a speculative paper proposing it might instead be an alien probe, perhaps even possibly hostile. They base this idea on several anomalous traits: its unusual trajectory, its proximity to Venus, Mars, and Jupiter, its non gravitational acceleration lacking evidence of a cometary outgassing, and its retrograde orbital tilt that would make it hard to intercept, but advantageous for a hidden mission. Bum, bum, bum. Interesting. Now, I saw headline. I had my dad, like the morning this story came out, he messaged me, linked this, and he was like, should I be like, do I have to go to work today, or is the planet going to get destroyed by aliens? What's going on here?" And big places pick this up. People magazine.
Right.
I think the what's that one called? The Today News, Good Morning America. You had the usuals, New York Post, all those tabloidy places here in the UK picked it up as well. But they all said that Avi Loeb said that this interstellar object could be hostile aliens. Trajectory. You had mentioned that caught your
That's right.
attention. What did you want to bring up when it comes to that?
So you heard him say that it is moving in a way in a crowded field of our sky that makes it very difficult to learn more about. But then on the trajectory in relation to that, it's going to pop in behind our sun where we can't see it. And so that too is problematic in terms of studying it. And so he, in a different video, he went on about how those two things have to be considered when we look to intent. So this is a great way for NHI to safely approach, knowing we really can't intercept it unless we can figure this Jupiter thing out. We can't, it's too late to send a rocket, it's too late to do anything else. So, and then to come in at a time and in a location where we can't see it either. It's on the wrong side of the sun. We were stuck. So I'm hoping someone's listening about his idea to use this object that we already have in space. We've already spent the $1 billion necessary to get it out there. And if we're just going to dive it into Jupiter, let's reuse it. Let's send it. What's the downside? So it doesn't work. Okay, well, we tried.
Yeah.
But just because we can't do everything doesn't mean we shouldn't do something, is how I look at this.
I agree. Like proactive instead of reactive. By the time this thing's gone, we'll just be like, "Oh well, when the next one comes, we'll be ready." We're
Right.
never ready. Like we
Never.
we said that about Oumuamua. In that we would take steps to try to capture these things, and then this one came in, and we're like, "Oh, well, we missed that one." These things seem to be coming at an alarming rate now. We went centuries without interstellar objects entering our solar system, and now we've had like 3 or 4 in the past couple years. That says something to
It
me.
does
I'm
to me
sorry.
too. And keep in
Yeah.
mind that this one is 12 miles long. This isn't somebody skipping a rock across a lake. This is a
No.
great big object.
This
So
ain't this ain't your daddy's Oumuamua.
it's your daddy's a Muamua. That's right.
It's much bigger, much faster. And like you said, the trajectory is interesting. Now, I know a lot of people in the chat are saying like fear mongering is not good. I understand that. Like
There was a
it's
lot
never
of that
good.
this week. There was a
Yeah, and
lot of that. Yeah,
I do want to kind of demystify that because it's not Avi Loeb necessarily putting out these very fear-driven um headlines and whatnot. And he even kind of corrected a lot of uh that journalism, if you even want to call it that. And he did want to clarify that the idea is a what is it? A pedagogical
a teaching tool. It's a
a
teaching
teaching
moment.
tool.
That's
There we go.
a teaching tool. Mhm.
Me write words sometimes, Suzanne. Me write words good times sometimes. Um, Rather than a confirmed theory, he warned that if the hypothesis were true, it could lend credibility to the dark forest hypothesis, the
Yeah,
unsettling notion that alien civilizations stay silent to avoid hostile contact. In a blog post, he cautioned that the consequences for humanity could be dire if we are indeed being observed.
exactly.
So it's just a theory. And what I always like about Avi Loeb, whether you agree with him or not. And look, a lot of scientists think this guy's a complete quack, has lost it, is a whatever, a fraud, a grifter, you name it. Avi Loeb has been called it by the mainstream scientific community. But what I respect is that he's willing to step on the landmines, ask the crazy, kooky questions, and pose some data and evidence that says, hey, let's at least keep this door cracked open instead of closing it shut completely. Because what if it is? And what if it's too late? So I appreciate that he's willing to risk his reputation time and time and time again, because I guarantee you, it's getting harder and harder for the mainstream scientific community to take this man seriously. Whether it's those little sphericals that he dug up from the bottom of the ocean, whether it's Oumuamua, whether it's this Atlas thing now. Yeah, I find it all fascinating, and like you said, we have to ask the question. We can't just ignore it. So
And that's the
it's
context
interesting.
in which I interpret his whole presentation in that video is let's include the concept of NHI in the thought and learning process. I'm not saying that that's what this is, but I'm saying it is irresponsible and very much of sort of a don't look up moment to
Mm,
exclude that as a possibility. And why don't we have a Richter scale sort of thing, or, roster for objects in space? Any one of those objects, if it hit at the right angle, at the right size, in the right place, could be catastrophic. That ought to exist. And so when people get frustrated with Avi, like, back up and think like he's thinking. He's not saying this is what it is. He's saying include the possibility because it's a smart thing to do, even if it never happens. Maybe we are alone, and Fermi is wrong. I don't think so, but it doesn't make sense to eliminate the thought and the preparedness around that to me.
yeah, I'm sure with a trial, in a courtroom, there's 1,000 questions
Right.
you prepare that never get asked, but they need to be there
That's right.
just in case. So, yeah,
Basic thought.
it's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Um.
He is brave though, isn't he?
ah,
He doesn't flinch. Now he may feel the weight of the comments in the privacy of his real life, but he seems fearless to me in the
yes.
face of the grief he gets.
Well, and I feel like some of that fearlessness comes with a childhood like wonderment. This
Yes.
guy reminds me so much of me as a kid when I would ask my mom and dad the dumbest questions. But you know what? I got the answer and I never asked the question again. But
And you
Avi
learn
is willing
something.
to ask
Yep,
those questions.
yep.
Yes.
You
And
learn
I love
something.
that. He keeps us all young.
He
He
does.
keeps
And
us
he's
all
a funny
young.
fellow too.
He really is. I
Yeah.
know. I know. A
Character.
couple comments here before we move
Oh
on,
yeah.
Suzanne, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Um, has anyone tried to remote view Atlas? That's interesting, Pat. I would love to see if anyone was willing or has done that. All work, low pay. I mean, he's right. We don't know until we know.
That's right.
Um, Kurt says, I love Avi, may not agree with everything he says, but at least he's willing to speculate. Yep.
That's it right there. You know, there is no harm and often tremendous value in just thinking.
Yep.
Thinking out loud.
Thinking out loud. Michelle says, Avi is the child in us all.
Michelle's correct.
I love it. I love it.